Too often, young people in K-12 schools are positioned as civically disengaged. We take a stance against this statement. Students everywhere are asking lots of questions about the world and their place in it. They're consuming and sharing information at the touch of a button. They're developing rich analyses of topics that interest them, and they are dreaming about a world different than the current. If this is the case, then what becomes the role of civics and service learning?
We'd like to introduce you to what we have termed a critical civics and service learning education. This starts with the assumption that students in K-12 schools are civically engaged. For us at the Social Studies Network, a critical civics and service learning education responds to these starting points by creating classroom, curricular, and pedagogical contexts for students to inquire about and act on their world.
Our model for critical civics and service learning education is composed of 4 practices: community-rooted and responsive practices that engage in partnership with the people, resources, and spaces within local communities; student-led and teacher-supported curricular and pedagogical practices that put students at the forefront of their learning and civic engagement; standards-inclusive practices that link inquiry-based learning skills, civic standards, service learning requirements, and aspirations for a more just world; and reflective practices that create spaces for students and teachers to celebrate their accomplishments and make revisions for the future.
So what does it mean to be community-rooted and responsive? What might it mean for you as a civics and service learning educator to take root in your students' communities? Rooted practices can illuminate the stories and storytellers that exist in all communities. These storytellers, like the grandparent who has memories of movements or the church that has an archive of primary and secondary resources, might support your students' inquiries and actions.
Rooted practices may also illuminate how systems of power and oppression have shaped communities over time. But being rooted isn't enough. Civics and service learning classrooms that are rooted should also be responsive, creating space for students to respond to the conditions, past and present, in their lives and communities.
A critical civics and service learning education puts students at the forefront of their learning. But this doesn't mean the absence of a teacher. We view critical civics and service learning as a collective endeavor between students and other community members and community spaces, mediated by teachers. In this sense, critical civics and service learning teachers are more like facilitators, more like librarians and coaches than deliverers of content information. Critical civics and service learning educators support the development of their students' rich and actionable questions. They point students towards primary and secondary resources. They support students' systemic analyses, and they support their students' civic actions.
What might it mean for you to engage in student-led and teacher-supported civics and service learning practices? What might you let go of? What new practices might you engage in? And what might come of this?
The National Council for Social Studies College, Career, and Civic Life Framework, commonly referred to as the C3 framework, offers guidance for K-12 social studies in the U.S. Nearly 40 states have adopted this framework to create opportunities for students in civics classrooms, amongst other disciplines, to become aware of their changing environments, know the past, read, write, and think deeply, and act to create change in their lives and world.
In 2019, Illinois revised their social science standards, which went into effect during the 2022-2023 school year. Like the C3 framework, the revised Illinois learning standards for social science are driven by the 4 core areas of inquiry-based learning that seek to create learning situations for K-12 students across the state of Illinois to take ownership of their learning. However, the Illinois learning standards for social science also draw explicit attention to the need for teachers and students to recognize, articulate, and analyze how perspective and systems of power influence and impact inequities and social transformation. The Illinois learning standards for civics are no different. While some may view them in isolation, They're meant to be taught and learned in ways that maintain the inquiry-based nature of social science teaching and learning.
What might it mean for you and your school to meet the aims of the revised learning standards for social science, which include civics and service learning requirements? While we hope that your critical civics aspirations are driven by more than the learning standards, we are appreciative of the direction that the revised Illinois learning standards for social science provide in creating more inquiry-based and just teaching and learning experiences for students in kindergarten through 12th grade.
All good practice should include reflection. Reflection can help identify the successes in our progress and opportunities for improvement. Unfortunately, the busy days and nights of the school year leave little time for reflection. And reflection's often viewed as an isolated task that teachers do alone. What might it mean to build in curricular time for reflection? And what might it mean for students and teachers to collectively reflect on their progress and design and modify their plans for the future? Reflection is crucial for any critical civics and service learning endeavor. What might it mean for yours?
Too often, young people in K-12 schools are framed as civically disengaged. What if civics classrooms were spaces to cultivate students' curiosities about their worlds, spaces to investigate their queries using social science methods, and spaces to take action? Might the world be a better place? Might our communities be more communal? And might young people in K-12 civics and service learning classrooms have opportunities to show us just how civically engaged they really are?
For us at the Social Studies Network, we believe that a critical civics and service learning education can be a method to accomplish these goals, but they can't be accomplished without dedicated teachers and other educators committed to creating rooted, responsive, student-led and teacher-supported, standards-inclusive, and reflective civics and service learning opportunities for all students. Our future depends on it.